Test. Now I have the audio on. That's so funny. I didn't have the audio on. So now I'm live. So boy, how do we recount? What in the world? The fact that I'm still having problems with audio is sad. It's really sad. I'm going to stop this stream.
It's showing you as...
No, only because I just changed it. No, I'm not going to stop this stream. So, good morning.
Good morning
again. And I sang the little good morning, something.
What
Good
musical
morning.
was that from?
That's from Singing in the Rain. And we talked about, we started with Brian grumbling about a news report that, what? Say it again.
Oh, the Trump administration has subpoenaed journalists because they dared to report that there were security problems on Air Force One.
Right, and I was asking Brian, because he said it with like a "can you believe it" tone, and I'm not clear about all of how subpoenas work. So Brian was saying that it's definitely seems to him like it's a threatening legal tactic.
Well, they're bringing them in front of a grand jury just because they're doing their job.
So let's just say the Trump administration wanted to interview the person, or what a subpoena does, which is just extract. It's like a debriefing. You extract what someone knows about something, right?
They are being forced to testify under oath in front of a grand jury regarding their reporting. Right. Now, this gets into the whole thing about like confidentiality of sources.
Right, I know. But they were saying that so it's the report that someone told the reporter that there are safety concerns, correct?
Well, yeah, and from the previous reporting that I saw, it regards the fact that, apparently the new plane, unlike the original Air Force One planes, it was not built from the ground up to be a presidential plane.
Yes,
it was retrofitted.
Yeah, I understand.
And so they weren't able to put on, some of the defensive measures.
I understand.
And so, they flew it over to Turkey, which is right next door to Iran.
Yes. Yeah.
Then they started shooting at Iran again, and they said, "Oh crap, we can't fly this thing back because they might shoot it down." And so they ended up taking one of the old planes back. From Turkey to the United States.
And the reporter reported on, they said, "Oh crap," and they hired another plane.
Yeah,
or something. Well, you sent me the article.
They didn't hire. It was the old Air Force One plane. They brought.
Yes, yeah. I'm aware. But what did the? Okay, so this is it's the New York Times reporter. New York Times reporters issued subpoenas over. I'll have to read the reporting. What I'm getting at is, while I understand that because I haven't read the New York Times reporting, I haven't been following the reporting about Trump's plane, like for myself. So what I've just been hearing, to me, what Brian just said and how he said it is what you're likely to hear in news reporting. Like, you just hear that retelling. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I'm saying that, see how it's delayed? Do you see how it's doing? I don't know what's going on. It might be that capture card. Anyway, I'm saying that I want to learn more. I want to learn more. And I'm wondering from the position of not whether or not the subpoena is threatening, but more along the lines of, would there be a less threatening legal reason? So I was thinking that the reporter reported on safety concerns, like specific concerns, and you could make the argument that the administration wanted to know specifically about the concerns so that they could address them. But what you're saying is, it seems like the subpoena wants to know, like they're likely want to know, like, who told you this or whatever, and there wants to be some
Well,
judgment.
I think they're just submitting them to a judicial process to silence them over something that was embarrassing. And I think that this administration has a pattern of doing that. I think under previous administrations, subpoenaing a journalist over anything would be a big deal. We believe in the fourth estate. We believe in the freedom of the press, or so we've said in the past. And here you have a story that's embarrassing to the administration and to Trump personally. This is his brand new jet that he received as a gift from Qatar.
But this is all inference. You know this, right? This is all inference. Like, it's all of that is inference.
Yes, but it's pretty obvious to get from point A to B.
I mean,
they could have gotten this if they just wanted to know what information they had. They could have asked them.
Right, 100%.
They went straight to subpoenas.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So, right. And here's, I guess, part of this is what I just dislike about this news environment and what we've normalized in terms of reporting. We've normalized just using inference to to narrate actual what could be actual factual current events. So I guess, and two, and also when I look at the New York Times and their reporting like around the Blake Lively thing, or even the reporting in the Me Too Times, I don't think that the New York Times press team, they're all human. Even if you look at the Fourth Estate, it's not a real estate, and freedom of the press doesn't give someone carte blanche to just
rewind. What do you mean it's not a real estate? I mean,
so we don't have, so it's not like a branch of the government.
No, but neither are the people, which is
right. But that's something so that's what I think should be. No, you're right. No, you're right. You're right. No, I agree. But that it's an estate, there's no codification for what the standards are to which it needs to be upheld. To me, to just talk about freedom of the press without talking about responsibilities of the press, that it's what's the point? I just think if you really want to operate in that way, there are certain reporting, to me, standards that should be acceptable. And I'm not talking about every publication has its own standards where an editor is just saying, no, I saw the notes of such and such. I mean, look, that's how Stephen Glass and Jason Bourne, not Jason Bourne, what's his name? Jason, what's
Matt
his name? Jason, oh my gosh,
from
the brother from Jason, oh my gosh, this is going to kill me. What is his name? The black reporter, Jason, black reporter who plagiarized.
Oh, the scandal.
Yeah. What was his name?
Jason.
Blair. I knew it was a B. B. Jason Blair. Jason Blair, who was at the New York Times. Wasn't Stephen Glass at the New York Times too?
I think so, yeah. Is it a V or PH? Stephen, yeah, PH. Yeah, the New Republic.
So he was at the New Republic.
Yeah.
I wonder how many plagiarism scandals has the New York Times had?
I don't know, but I'm wondering with all these AI tools, how many more are going to come out?
Well, but then, so I read that article you sent me.
Which one?
The Brown article.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what word do you think I was most hung up on?
Cheating.
Yes! But why do you think I was most hung up on it?
Because you don't necessarily consider the use of AI tools cheating.
Not even. Because they never defined it. They never define what cheating is.
So once upon a time, and I actually accidentally just sent you as a text message a comment I left, but I'm not embarrassed at it on the article. I am not embarrassed about this at all.
What article?
The one that you're talking about.
Oh, okay. I didn't see comments on that either, by the way. Mm-hmm.
It was on a different forum that I saw the original article link from. But anyway, so once upon a time I taught at Brown.
Yes, I know. Mm-hmm.
I was a grad student there, and I was teaching some classes. And this would be 20 years ago at this point. And yeah, the students cheated like crazy, and it was obvious.
And how did you define cheating? What was cheating?
Okay, so in the class that I was teaching, it was an anthropology class, and so all of the assignments were written assignments, right? Mm-hmm. And they had a series of them throughout the semester.
Mm-hmm.
And you would see people who, the writing style and the quality of the writing and the quality of the thought completely changed. Like it clearly was not written by the same person from assignment to assignment.
Wait, so say it one more time. So you're saying it changed from the midterm to the final, or it changed?
We had several writing assignments throughout the semester.
So you're saying it changed paper to paper?
Yes.
And you're saying they cheated, as in
they clearly weren't writing them themselves.
They clearly weren't writing them. They got someone else to write them for them.
And then most of these, so I was a grad student, so I was teaching. In this particular course, I was teaching sections, right? And in grading
sections.
So you have the main lecture, which the professor does, and then you have the grad students teach the sections.
Okay, go ahead.
Which are they segment the class into smaller sections for the seminar portion, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'd run these by the professor, and the professor would always say, well, unless you can find the original, you can't do anything.
Unless you can find
what they plagiarized it from.
Right.
And so, but the thing is, there are websites. There were like fraternities had banks of papers that they would give their members to turn in. So a lot of the stuff was harder to find back then. Mm-hmm. And
I mean, it wasn't harder to find per se, but it would have taken a lot of search and discovery labor. There was no ROI.
Later on, they had services where you could just cut and paste the paper into it, and it would tell you if it was plagiarized.
Right, because it would search the entire
internet. Because they had a database of them, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there was one student who, at the end of the semester, turned in a paper that had nothing to do with what we taught in the course at all. Mm-hmm. And that was the only one where the professor was like, okay, you can fail them. Because
it had nothing to do with the course at all.
They just went online somewhere and they're just like anthropology paper. This was an introduction to anthropology course, and they're talking about all of these sources and scholars that we never talked about in the course, and it had nothing to do with the themes of the course. And they just went somewhere, grabbed the paper, and handed it in. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, "We got to fail this person." He said, "You can give them a C-." Mm-hmm. And so I did. But
what was
there was a complicity in the cheating because it couldn't be completely proven. Now this current scandal, again, it's based on the instructor's suspicions, where they're just like, these kids aren't writing this. But, these are kids that you have in a seminar with you. You get a pretty good idea of what their abilities are with respect to the material.
They're writing a bit. We're talking specifically about
just their grasp of the material, even. Because you're talking to these people, twice a week you have a seminar with them. You get a sense of the level of their understanding. And you have one of your students who has no clue, and they turn in something that is this brilliant paper, and you're just like, okay, it's not them. This is clearly not them. And this professor, I guess there were a couple of students who, if you look at the data from this current, these current accusations, there are a couple of students where it's like, okay, well, they clearly weren't cheating, and they got one grade on the midterm, and they improved somewhat on the final. Mm-hmm. And then, everyone else is just clustered around the same grade, right?
But they, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm listening.
And, I completely buy that most of the students in his class were cheating. Completely. Based on what I know of the undergraduate student body at Brown. And, Brown, I'm not going to just say Brown is a shitty university, because it's not. It's a great university. But the undergraduate students, at least 20 years ago, there was a culture there that was very different from where I did my undergraduate, which is a similar level institution, Cornell. But Cornell, the culture there was a culture of extreme hard work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at Brown, it was just different. It was just different there. And you know, I saw people fail at Cornell all the time.
Mm.
I didn't know any of my friends that, you know, whether they were cheating. I didn't cheat. You know, they had weed out courses where 3/4 of the people would fail.
Weed out courses?
Yeah. Yeah, that was just the culture there. It was an intense, much more intense culture for undergraduates. Brown, they coddled them, frankly, and they let them get away with whatever they wanted.
Weed out culture.
Yeah. And one thing that I said in the message I accidentally forwarded to you is that, ironically, the best student I had in this course at Brown was a total, you know, what people would call a Nepo baby. One of their parents, actually both their parents, were very famous people. Very, very famous people. I'm not going to identify them online. But, you know, this is someone who I'd say their name and they'd be like, oh yeah, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a great student. I'm not even going to give away the gender here, but they were a fantastic student. Consistently handed in great stuff. And had great insights onto things. So smart cookie.
Mm-hmm.
But Nepo baby. So so yeah, the Nepo babies aren't always the worst students. We'll say that, right?
I mean, I'm still stuck on.
I'll tell you who it is after we stop streaming.
Oh well, now I want to pause so that you can wait. Text it to me. Will you text it to me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm doing it right now.
I'm so anxious to hear. So I will say.
Okay.
And so I'm just bringing up the.
I just sent it to you.
I'm bringing up the article here. Okay, and this is still. We're still active on here, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Oh, that makes a ton of sense. 100%. You can tell. So she's sorry. So they're one of those.
Don't give away.
They're
anything,
one of
please.
those. They're smart. They get it type of individuals. Like you can tell based on where they show up that that's what people think about them.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Good.
Oh gosh, I love that we shared a secret live on the air.
Yeah.
So you know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
Remember that conversation we had in the kitchen years ago about writing with AI? And
Refresh me.
I don't know. We were, because you know sometimes we have as you can tell we have divergent ideas about a lot of things, and sometimes our divergent ideas begin to feel when you're expressing them, it can be tempting, easy. We're definitely guilty of kind of having a reply or a retort that's basically like, that's stupid. You know what I'm saying? We don't say that, but sometimes
Emotionalize.
Yes, but we do sometimes emotionalize our response to what the other has said about what we've said, right? And so we had a conversation in the kitchen about writing with AI, and I don't exactly remember what our points of view were, but I remember me getting offended and you getting offended. And it was about whether or not writing is really writing with AI, or if kids were gonna be, you know, go to shit, like education and kids and abilities, our human abilities were gonna go to shit because now we have AI. And this reminds me of that conversation. And when I read the article, man, it made my stomach hurt. One, because cheating wasn't defined. Two, because it was clear to me they were conflating what was likely the way of cheating in your day, which was wholesale, write this for me, or wholesale taking a paper from a stack of paper.
Yeah, or paying someone to do it
or
for you,
wholesale,
whatever.
yes,
Yeah.
or a wholesale pulling it from the internet, wherever,
Yeah.
right? Even if it was piecemeal, like I'm gonna pull this paragraph from here, whatever. But there wasn't what I'll call the substance architecture of creating, developing, and presenting your own argument. Now, we don't talk enough about the process of writing as a country. So for us to be policing writing in this time is the slippery, it's like we just insist on standing our ground on this already slippery slope. This professor, and and I imagine he felt a lot like you. This professor just sounds pissed. I think so. Is it fair to say, like, what does it feel like to be presented with papers that are, to you, clearly not demonstrative of someone's actual work? Do you get pissed? Do you get like, I imagine?
I think at first I was pissed, and I think later on I was just like, oh, this shit again, you know.
And I think yeah, there is a very real. I think it stirs up what feels like righteous indignation, I think, to a teacher.
I think for me personally, and I'm saying this 100% personally because it reflects my experience. Like I said, when I went through undergrad, I went through a place where there were many more demands put on you. Most, I studied social sciences and I studied liberal arts. Most of my exams were written format. A lot of them, probably the majority of them, were blue book exams where they hand you
the blank
paper and they say, okay, you got 2 hours,
right. Yeah, you just got to write.
And I've heard in the AI era that more professors are going back to that. And frankly, if I were teaching again, that is probably what I'd do. I just say all blue book exams.
And I would, so here's the thing, this is how I would be. And I don't even think of this as jailbreaking. I think of this as thought partnership, meaning I would be workshopping, like I would be figuring out how to best express my ideas when it comes time for the blue book. Even if there were a blue book, I would still be working with ChatGPT, with Claude on if you kind of always know in a final exam, like you're gonna be talking about X. Yep. What's your thought about X? Like, what do you think? What are the takeaways from X? What are your thoughts about X? You're gonna be talking about Y. How does X relate to Y? And there's a way to map out a template, if you will, for how to structure, frame your arguments in a blue book. And I think if you are a writer, and if you have been employed as a writer, and this is where, and if you've not been paid well and been employed as a writer, I believe you are incentivized to represent your authentic writing and voice using these tools simply because it can be effective. That's, to me, I think it can be effective. And if kids are using, I just don't understand why schools, right down to high schools, elementary schools, middle schools, are so intent with not defining cheating and not discussing what the contents of someone's true work actually is or constitutes true work. I think that's a conversation that we need to have.
Well, I think that's true. I also think that it's worth talking about the nature of the material that you're teaching. I think the goal of any college level course, university level course, is to instill in the students a command of the material. That's the ultimate goal, right?
Yes.
Now, in certain professions,
And the right and
certain-
responsibility to me of the student too is to approach everything with curiosity.
yes,
Go
and
ahead.
I think in certain lines of study, certain lines of work, that entails being able to write about it, right? Or being able to articulate on the fly concepts about
It's
it.
not even certain lines of work. That is the job of a professional college student. You have to do that. It's
Well, I mean,
required.
I think it's different between a math exam.
Oh,
and,
well, sure, I'm sure, depending on what you're.
Yes.
But most, yes, you're right. Got
Another anecdote from my college days. So Cornell, when I went there, they required fresh people, to take 2 semesters of writing seminars, because the university's philosophy was that all students, it's a necessary skill. They also made you take a swim exam too, believe it or not. But
Wait, what was the exam?
it was, well, they made you take writing seminars, but you also had to be able to swim to graduate.
This is at Cornell.
Cornell, because they said this is just something that everyone needs to be able to
I
do.
think that's actually smart.
Okay, so these writing seminars, they had them in all kinds of different topics, right? You could take one in almost any department of the university, but there was the topic of it, but the underlying purpose of the
Was to
course
write.
was to teach you how to write, right? And so, so I had taken the AP English course, right? And so my first semester, I was able to take just this advanced writing seminar that was all just, it was just, literature or whatever, and that was only open to people who had taken the AP exam. And then the second semester, I took one for fun, and it was in Gothic literature. So Frankenstein and E.T.A. Hoffmann, and Gothic literature from the 19th century mostly. And it was taught by this fellow named Kirk Ireland, who sadly passed away very young, not too long afterwards. But he was, I think, at the time, a PhD candidate in like the comparative literature department. So writing. He was a writer, right? And he the course, because of the subject material, it attracted people from a bunch of different areas of study. They were freshmen. They hadn't declared their major yet. But a lot of these were people there. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a computer scientist, right? And he ran it like a literature seminar. And he said, okay, we're going to discuss the themes of these, and then I want you to write about them. And there was this revolt among the students.
Why?
Why do we have to learn this?
Well, why did they take that course?
Well, I mean,
Was it the only writing course available?
No, they could have taken any course. They took it because I think they thought it would be easy or fun, right? Gothic literature. Reading Dracula,
I don't know. I would never take that course. But okay. They said, why do we have to learn this?
And they, you're not teaching us how to write. You're not teaching. Why do we even have to learn to write anyway? I'm going to be an engineer. I don't have to learn to write. And it just devolved into this complete mess. And it got to the point where Kirk, the instructor, literally stood up in front of the course, gave everyone the double middle finger, said, fuck you all, you don't want to learn. And then he said, my friend just told me he failed everyone in his course, and I never believed that anyone could ever do that until now. And at the end of the class, so I would talk to him after class because he was an interesting dude. And there was this other young woman, we talked to him, and he said, listen guys, I'm not talking about you, don't worry. But and I think I ended up getting an A in that course, but the upshot of this was that there was tremendous resistance among certain segments of the course to learn to write the way you would as a comp lit student, right? They were just interested if they were interested in writing at all, it was just how do I, it was like proofreading, right? Copy editing. I want to make sure the punctuation is the right place. And a lot of these kids, they couldn't even do that coming in. They came unprepared to do that. So I kind of get where they're coming from.
Where who? Where the teachers
Where
are
the
coming?
Students were coming from. But I also get where the professors coming from.
I don't hear I don't hear an understanding of where the students were coming from at all.
It's like, well, I don't know how to write a non-run-on sentence. Maybe someone should be teaching me that.
But you're still demeaning the kids in that characterization. Like, I don't know. I'm going to say, I don't, and this is not a disparagement, I don't trust your recollection of every student's writing ability I can't conceive of any writing class where one would be familiar with the written product, with the written work of every other student. I never read every paper that my classmates were turning in. Might have asked them about their grade, but I don't know what their writing, what its flaws were or what its strengths were. So I think that to characterize them in that way, I would say, is that fair? I also think that, to me, in that story, I do believe the issues here are the humans in the room. Like, the issue to me, it is the student, it's the teachers who are thinking like people are too big for their britches, or whatever assumptions people have about others. Mm. And I say this as a person who, to me, the world can be boiled down to, does someone think your britches are right-sized, or do they think you're too big for your britches? So, or do they think that you are not fitting your britches, like you're not living up to the size of your britches? So, to me, the people who think you're not living up to the size of your britches and the people who think you're too big for your britches are always the same person. And that is like the person who tells you that you're not living up to your potential is the same person who, when you are living out your potential, who will tell you that you're being too full of yourself or will still find something. And to me, there are just some people that just want control. And there are professions where control is part of the job. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely, it's just part of the job description. And teaching is one of those professions. You have to...
Pedagogy. Pedagogy.
Yeah, remind me what pedagogy means again.
It's the highfalutin term for teaching.
Yes, it's part of the... So the thing that I believe that a lot of teachers haven't looked at their profession in the way that most people have to look at it, in terms of like the actual work product, because they believe that their work product is the student. That is not their work product. Their work product, to me, is the class. It is the class, and is the class fulfilling its obligations. To me, that sounds like a class that wasn't properly developed as a work product. If this is to teach someone how to write, so because I'm always like, what does it mean if you, because I don't even think we have captured what it means to teach someone how to write into classroom speak. Like, meaning, can I finish?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Well, go ahead, because you're not going to be fully listening.
Go ahead, I am fully listening.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I think academia is a weird place in that I don't think the product is the student. At least, I don't think I think the product for most people in academia who are at the level of a professor, tenured or not, is professional reputation. And
that's their imposed product, but I think but it should be the class itself. Like, to me, their work product, what they're actually developing, is the class.
Yeah.
That's the output. That's the deliverable, if you will. A reputation is not a deliverable, it's dash deliverable.
Well, what they're looking for is job security.
Right, that's different from right. But I was just going to say, but publication, but that comes from different stuff. That comes from publishing. Yeah. That comes from your being able to write. And to me, anyway.
But you churn out a bad student, and they're kind of standing in for you, right? And say, oh well, this guy, look how shitty their students are. That also affects your reputation as well.
Churn out a bad student. So again, going back to this class of the double middle fingered teacher.
Yeah.
And the characterization that they didn't understand why they had to read Gothic literature, how it was going to help them, when the goal of the class was just to have a vehicle for writing. Like the class teaches you how to write, and you can't write about nothing. So in this class, you're going to write about Gothic literature.
Well, yes. And I think part of the particular situation, too, was that this was this guy's life's work, this thing he loved.
That issue, and that's my issue. So what I'm trying, if you let me finish my point, what I'm trying to say is that this is all a communication breakdown and a lack of clarity around what's being taught. He took the assignment. He's teaching Gothic literature, not how to write. Because if he were teaching how to write, everybody would know what the deal. Who would talk about things? You wouldn't. And to the degree that you were, you would be saying, okay, so we're going to talk about the themes of chapter 1 to articulate how do we capture what something is about. Like how do you reframe what something is about without retelling the entire plot. That's not the same thing as a theme. You know what I'm saying? How do you extract a theme? How do you infer things? But that is a true, that's writing as a device. So when you were saying that these are classes that were designed to teach you how to write.
They were intended, I don't know if they were designed
so to me, if they were intended for that, then that is how they should have been designed. And that's something that colleges. So again, when we say the purpose of something is to teach you how to write, what we usually mean is turn an unclear thought to a clear. Decide what you actually want to say. Organize your ideas so another person can follow them. Support your ideas or claims with reasons and evidence. Anticipate readers' questions and objections and make that a part of what you're saying, your messaging, and revise until the words produce the intended effect. And a lot of this, to me, begins in speech and talking. And to the degree that like people want to have classroom discussions, teachers have to be mindful of how they're prompting those discussions. Like, so you've got to almost prompt for the machinery of writing, not for the machinery of reading. I think a lot of teachers, when teaching writing, they teach from the machinery of reading. You know what I'm saying? Like how the posture of a reader and not from the posture of a writer, because someone writing about a writer's work has a completely different, is almost like an observer of their reading, not just they're observing themselves as a reader and not just themselves. So I have up this is the,
adjust your microphone a little.
Thank you. Why?
Because you got to be talking.
Did you not see my sample? This is the one you said I have to talk out of the top of.
They all.
But also,
says,
what?
It says what? Back on it here. This is the front.
But I also did.
Okay.
I did a test and it was fine. But anyway, so this is the visual. I thought the visual was really interesting. I mean, again, this dude sounds like he's very resentful, and this to me is a canary in the coal mine article that uses the word cheating. Let me see, 20 times. And this is this Emma Whitford, this is this writer's choice of word.
This is inside higher ed.
And it's inside higher ed. And there's absolutely no discussion of, one, the variation of use of ChatGPT. There's no discussion of, you could also read this as someone is resentful that a student who, and I'm like, what was the condition of the previous papers?
Well,
did he say how did he conduct the previous papers?
So scroll down to the graph again. These are the midterm scores.
Yes.
And these are the final scores. And look at the huge difference between
And the
them.
final was what he gave in person. Is that what you're
No,
saying?
the final was the take home, which he thinks they used AI on.
But the final score was low.
No, this is high. Left is higher.
It says 46.5 versus 91. This is what they scored. That's why it's lower. After Serrano made the final in person, 18 students
Oh, yeah,
dropped
sorry,
the class,
that's what it is. The
and 9
midterms were
students
higher.
did not take
yes,
the.
the
Yes,
midterm
that's what I was
was
saying.
take home.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I was wrong. Yes.
And to me, this is an example of students not knowing truly how to use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And or to use these AI tools, again, because you can parse material using AI and be able to turn out your own, to turn out work. And I'm not even going to say your own work, just to turn out work when prompted, when asked. And if the ability to write on demand, which, let us be clear, that's what this is. Like, be clear what we're teaching. Sure, command of the whatever, fine. You could say that. But what you're also teaching is the ability to write on demand. That's what you're requesting. And if you want someone to write on demand, there's like, you have got to help. You've got to include that type of teaching in your coursework. And what I'm seeing is a guy who, well, I don't know.
Okay, I'm just looking at, so, you look at the score distribution, and there are only 2 students where, they kind of correlated between the midterm. It's that one and that one. They got similar scores on the midterm and the final, right? Now, this...
And the person up here, student 31.
Yeah. But so that's probably a very good, the ones at the top are probably ones that are, have good, good command of the material. This person, they're kind of in the middle, but also they probably didn't cheat, right? Same with that person. But everyone else, you see these massive differences. Someone who got like a 20 and then they got a 99 or whatever, right?
And then I also look at this and I think, oh my gosh, we are so stuck in our, like, we're just so determined to
grade.
no, like, to me. So this, when I read this article and when I see this graph, it doesn't feel like it's a warning call. It feels like a see, I told you, they were all too dumb to have papers that were this good.
Well, I mean,
and it feels like like it could also be an experiment of wanting to expose who or how good someone really is. Like, this is, you hear about imposter syndrome. This is all of one's fears with imposter syndrome. This is literally how the world works, meaning, like, you put out something and there are so many forces that are out to
well, here's the other thing too. This is economics. It's a notoriously difficult field, right? And I think you go back 30 years, and you would have a grade curve, right? Which is why it's like, okay, you might have got a 50%, but that's enough for a B, right? And this just wrecks the curve. It's like a straight line, right? Everyone is getting between 90 and 100% on it. So You know, I think the
Do they
complaint.
talk about the curve in here?
I don't. I don't remember.
No, they didn't.
Um,
Which to me, that's a great talk about great through line. Like that's a
Yeah.
great talking point here, and he should have talked about
yeah,
that.
because
He
it
should have talked
prevents
about
you.
that.
It prevents
He should have
you
disqualified the midterm
from
and just
ranking the
done
students.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
should have disqualified the midterm and said that I don't trust the results.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I know that there's more variation and this is what I'm going to do for the final.
Yeah.
And it's not like gotcha. It's more like this is what I'm going to do for the final to make sure that I'm accurately grading what your command of the material.
Yeah.
Period, full stop. Like it doesn't have to be framed like this. It doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be about open AI per se.
Yeah, and it
just has to
doesn't
be-
even have to be
or
about like
cheating.
alert,
Yeah.
alert, big higher ups.
Yeah.
Everybody's cheating. You see what a problem this is? Everybody's cheating. I should expel them all. I should flunk them all. They're not serious. Like whatever. It could be, meaning if anything, it's a conversation it's saying, hey, this thing happened. This is what I'm doing for the final exam, right? Some students might complain. Here's why I'm doing it, and I think and I would advise we develop a policy on blank, 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 and blank that's consistent across the school. That is an operational and actionable response to me to this occurring, and all of the freaking human inputs in our employment, because this is an employment industry too. Like these are just places that people are employed, and we are not making it necessary for everyone. We've not made, this is AI aside, we've not made it necessary to approach your livelihood, your jobs with that kind of posture.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you asked that
What did I ask?
about you brought up the job aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is an economics course.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably, a good portion, probably the majority of these people, are ones that are going to be going to business school to get MBAs,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what does this say about the future of people who are going to business school and the bearing that it's going to have on industry and the economy? That
to me is, this isn't the type of, this is not a fair representation. I have so many questions about the structure of this class.
Okay.
One, I have a question about like, did they only have a midterm and a final? Were there no other?
That's a pretty typical arrangement.
So that's fine. So if that's the case, right? What was the syllabus up to the midterm? A lot of teachers, I mean, at Spelman, you had to prove that you were working, like you had to write and do things before the midterm. It wasn't just like you suddenly wrote the midterm, if that's what we're talking about. If it's a long written piece of work, you didn't just have this seminar every day and then all of a sudden be expected to write a midterm. There was still, you got graded for participation too, and you did have to do in-class writing, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't even if you weren't graded on it. So the structure of this class, to me, is suspicious. 3, you just said that, oh, sorry, that was 1. 2, you just said that the bell curve thing, and if they had taken the test without what we believe is like AI mitigation, then that could have been graded on a curve, you know? So that an A would be the 70% or up to 70% or something like that. And that is how, like you said, classes have been graded for decades. And we haven't seen, not only, like, we don't know the GPAs of the economists of today, and we certainly don't know their class-by-class grades and use their test-by-test scores to decide or decipher their competence as professionals. So what does this says? I can't predict anything about who someone's going to be as a professional based on a score, like based on this
And that's
illustration.
yeah,
And
that's
so
a pre-existing problem too, and that.
but you phrase that to me like a, but what does it say about the future? So why aren't you reckoning with your positioning it that way? Because to me, you got to reconcile why you think that's even a legitimate question.
I think it's a legitimate question because these are the people that are going to be in control of our economy 15 years from now.
But we don't even know the scores class by class of the people who are currently in our control of our economy, Brian. So why are you inclined to make a statement and judgment like that right now about this? Is it just because there's AI in the mix?
No, it's because a lot of it has to do with the university that it is. This is a university. It's an Ivy League university. The Ivy League universities, like it or not,
Got it. So you're saying
have
these
outsized
schools,
influence.
you're saying
Yeah.
these schools been turning out idiots, is what you're saying.
Well,
like these
yes,
schools been turning out people who haven't proven their competence.
They're the idiots who are in charge of everything.
Right. Yes, got it.
Because they went to those schools.
Because they went to those
Yes.
schools. Got it. So this has been happening. So meaning what you're seeing here reveals what the true range is for folks who go to Brown, etc.
Yeah. And grade inflation was like an issue 20 years ago when I was there. People were saying, it doesn't make sense that like the average GPA is like 3.8, right? There has to be some kind of difference. And they talked about it at some of the, Harvard, Yale, some of these other elite institutions too. I keep going back to the difference between Cornell. Cornell was the weird outlier because they were rigorous on their grading, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they say, oh, well, it's the easiest Ivy League school to get into, but the hardest to stay, right? Because they have things like weed out courses where they would fail 3 quarters. This is not good enough, But at the same, most of these, and this goes for other elite schools outside the Ivy League too. It's not just the Ivy League schools. There's this problem of grade inflation that obscures the, it obscures the measurement of the relative abilities of students, and this just seems to make it even worse.
Got it.
Yeah.
I love your brain, Johnny.
Thank you.
Now, why do I call you Johnny? Because we missed that because it
Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai. And but it didn't start with the beginning of Cobra Kai, because what started at the beginning of Cobra Kai was send it to the internet.
Send it to the internet.
Send it to the internet.
Yes.
But I guess you're saying because when the new season, at some point when we lived here, I started calling you Johnny. And then you said I started calling you Machine Man Johnny.
I don't know where that came from.
I think it's because
really
how
random.
you work with to me, you're a machine man. Like you're always fixing something. You're very technical. You always have a physical product in your hand that you are.
My dad was an engineer.
Yeah, your dad was an engineer. You're mechanizing somehow. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so, Machine Man Johnny. And then Machine Man Johnny became a theme song, a cartoon theme song. Oh, you know what? Didn't I just ideate on Machine Man Johnny recently? I was saying that he could be, what was that? It was in voice memos. I was saying he could be Brian. He could be a cartoon where he does such and such between the humans and the, oh my gosh, do you remember this?
Vaguely. You have so many ideas.
I know, Brian Patio, 7826.
How do you know that's the one?
Because I searched for Machine Man Johnny in here.
I don't say anything embarrassing on here, do I?
I'm not going to play it. I'm just going to, I just want to pull the Machine Man Johnny thread real quick.
Okay.
So I'm going to open, ChatGPT changed and extract the Machine Man Johnny stuff from here. I'm pretty sure I'm narrating an entire show, plot, series, narrative, arc. Okay. So ChatGPT has Codex and ChatGPT, but now they've combined them into one app, and it doesn't actually show you any of the
Wait,
stuff.
so what does Codex do?
So Codex is kind of like how Claude desktop app is.
Oh, okay.
It can code, it can
Yeah.
co-work, it can do automated tasks and more.
The
The attached file appears to be the wrong excerpt or incomplete. It contains about 11,000 characters, but Johnny Machine Man or identifiable shows. Okay, got it. Let's see.
Not the right one.
That's not the right one. Maybe I need to, let me see. Machine.
Well, poo.
I know. I know. Ah! This is going to kill me. Okay, one more search, one more search, one more search, one more search. One more search. Otter. Let's search Otter and see if it's in there. Let's see. Let's see. Machine. And then I'm just going to play the Machine Man Johnson. Tell everybody a story.
You got to prompt me. I'm like ChatGPT.
Tell everybody a story about your favorite, why you chose Cornell, why you chose Brown, and why you chose Georgetown.
They're the schools I got into. I applied to a bunch of them, and you know, with Cornell, the other school it came down to was that or Haverford here in Philadelphia, and I decided to go to Cornell just because it was bigger, and I thought, you know, I'd have more opportunity to take diverse courses if I wanted to. Yeah, I really liked Haverford when I visited it. And then Brown I chose because I was interested in doing underwater archaeology, and there was a guy there by the name of Dick Gould, who became my advisor when I was there.
That's a heck of a name.
Who he was at the forefront of doing underwater archaeology from an anthropological perspective. Like a lot of the people were just more interested in it from like an engineering or naval architect. Like we're interested in ships and how ships are built. And I was, you know, coming from a background in anthropological archaeology, I was interested in things like trade networks and how these things were used for people to move around and how that affected cultural development. And that's something that wasn't very prominent in the field of, you know, people doing stuff with shipwrecks and underwater sites. And so I went there. Now the problem was my second day of graduate school was September 11th, 2001. And so Dick Gould.
What a name.
Richard Gould, the late great Richard Gould. He died a few years ago. His father, I guess, had been at Pearl Harbor when it was attacked, right? And his father was like missing for a long time and was in a hospital or something, right? And so when 9/11 happened, it brought back all of this trauma from when he was a child of like his, you know, these attacks and his father being missing, and he's just like, forget about underwater archaeology, I'm doing forensic archaeology now. And so I was left with this advisor that wasn't doing what I came to study under him to do anymore, really, right? And so I was kind of left to my own devices, and it didn't work out great, and we'll just leave it at that. But that's why I chose to go to Brown. And then Georgetown I went to, I chose Georgetown because, number one, I got in, and number two, I was interested in you know, policy and constitutional law, and they were right there in D.C., and they had the Supreme Court moot court there and so forth.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that the other day.
It seemed like a good choice.
Okay, good choices. Good choices. Okay, can't find it, but let me play up. So, let me play the Machine Man Johnny song. And I also want to play, while I'm playing this, I'm going to got for the black and white videos.
Machine Man Johnny, coming for your atmosphere. Machine Man Johnny, you better believe he's near. He's Machine Man Johnny, and he's here to say that he's a hero you need to save the day. Machine Man Johnny is here. Machine Man Johnny is here. Machine Man Johnny, 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 Machine Man, Machine Man, Machine Man, Machine Man, Machine Man, Machine Man, Machine Man Johnny is here. Machine Man Johnny is here.
Nice, Machine Man Johnny.
Machine Man Johnny,
Oh, this
coming
is
for your
another.
atmosphere. Machine Man Johnny,
Oh,
you
I
better
didn't
believe
realize
he's
I
near.
wanted to do
He's
these.
Machine Man
Okay.
Johnny, and he's here to say that he's a hero. You need to save the day. Machine Man Johnny.
So, one, let me first.
What are we doing here? Plug in. It does all this.
I don't think it can. I don't think Claude.
It does all this.
I don't think it can. I don't think Claude can.
You can't control OBS.
I don't think it can control OBS. But
That's surprising to me.
that's surprising. That's something that I honestly had never thought of. Remind me to ask Claude that immediately.
Yeah.
Let me pull up this. Oh shit. It didn't. It's not pulling up the.
Oh, that's because it wasn't plugged in.
Oh, here we go.
Sorry. How about now?
It didn't. It didn't quit.
It didn't quit? Good.
No, it did not quit.
Good.
And I was
Should
just
be
needed
plugged
to.
in. I don't know if it's showing up or not.
It's not showing up. Let's see. Finder file. New Finder window.
I don't feel the spinning.
Mm,
Wonder if the cord is no longer good.
I just got the cord here. What if we do it like this?
Is that solid state or is that a hard drive? Hard drive. It wouldn't spin, I guess, if it's solid state.
Okay, and we're back. We're back. We're back. So, right. So the reason why I was talking about Machine Man Johnny was because we talked about it when we started and the volume was down. And also, I was thinking I want to play the videos. I haven't seen the videos.
Okay.
So this is the first one. I don't know which one this is. Oh, this is Fire.
Yeah. This is the source and the stream.
I got fire in my pocket, over on the right side. I got fire in my pocket, over on the left side. I got fire in my soul, deep on the inside and in my
I can tell I don't know the words.
pocket.
Even though you
I
wrote
got
it.
fire in my pocket, over on the back side. I got fire in my pocket, over on the front side. I got fire in my soul, way down inside and in my right pocket. Here comes the fire, here comes the fire, here comes the fire. Here comes the fire, here comes the fire, here comes the fire. It sure won't be no water, but the fire next time. It sure won't be no water, but the fire next time. I got it in my soul, mind it. Light it up, let it burn, light it, let it glow, light it to shine. There won't be no water, fire stand. Light it up, light it up. Light it up, let it burn. Light it up, 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 light it up. Light it up, light it up, light it up, let it burn. Light it up, light it up, light it up. Short up, fire next day. I got fire in my one side. I got fire in my soul. He's standing right. I got fire in my soul. Fire in my deep pocket.
You're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
Yes. Go Penny, go Penny, get it, get it, get it.
We're gonna get it. Yeah, we're gonna get it. Yes, we're gonna get it.
Hey, the two watching.
Ooh.
I don't know.
The keyboard, I know.
Gonna get it. Hey.
Yeah, it's not coming through with the full motion.
Actually, I'm gonna stop with the. I see. I just want to record. Can I play?
You can play. They might not be visible.
That's the. So what's the third?
I don't remember.
Black and white videos.
Save the file.
Save the file. I want to. So I'm actually gonna fast forward. We're gonna get it because I want to see. Let's see here.
How far we'll go. We're gonna get it. Yes, we're gonna.
I really love these shots. holding? Oh, my water bottle, my thermi.
Together we become the whole towards our freedoms that are yet unknown. We've come too far.
And then I have my one. Close window. Then boom. Save to files. Save to files. It actually reads with save to file. Do you think I should do this one with audio or both?
I like the both because
Okay.
you get your wooing and stuff in it.
Save to file, save to file, save to file, hallelujah. Save to file when you share, gotta put it over there. Save to file, hallelujah. Save to file, save to file, save to file, hallelujah. Save to file when you share, put your photos over there. Save to file, hallelujah.
You could tell I was tired.
You gotta save it, save it.
What was this, July 13th? July 3rd?
You
Yeah.
gotta save it, share it, save it to file. Save it, don't erase it. Oh, save it when you share it, save it over there. Save to file, save to file, save to file, hallelujah. Save to file when you share, put your photos over there. Save
Yeah, you are going to have to show me other than myself, so I don't think I'm chubby. Wow. Also, what was the inspiration for these videos?
The Janet Jackson one.
Janet Jackson, love will never do without you. Which was a STA. I like. I think it's OBS because we're not only dealing with
You know,
weird how slow
I know
like
that.
Amber's going to. Anyway,
like almost 2 hours. So I think I'm about ready because I got to do.
I have stuff to do. Okay, yeah.
Don't get me like that.
What's that playing?
I don't know.
Oh, let's see it again.
Music.
You took them. No, I guess it's goodbye.
Yes.
Good night. Yes, I think of actually singing the West Story and when she dies. You know you. I love you. All of you. Good night, and something song. But at the end, it's good night. The end of the night, I think, and then
Okay. Calm down as you